This no ordinary voice of spiritual ventriloquism. You are listening to the dummy again. You know, what should I call this video? I think I'm going to call it the Homosocial Manosphere of Straitway. Okay? And the reason I'm going to title this video this is that, going through some of my psychology readings and things like that, through reading things on the red pill manosphere, Kevin Samuels, Rollo Tomasi, Pearl Talk, and all these other red pills. Lately it seems like the women are more red pill than the men out there as far as the content creators and everything else. But what I've noticed among the men is this tendency where men, everything's women. It's about the women, and it's, you need to get with a good woman. You need to find a good woman because you have favor from Yah and all these kinds of things. But, and that seems to be the what they say. But when you actually see them act themselves out in their religious services, in the way their attitudes amongst one another, especially when it's the elite leadership, okay, or possibly when they're going into their tribal shaming of the people that aren't on their level. Their preoccupation is male. It's a male-centric homosocial club, or that's what it's turned into, say in the last 10 years. Okay. And the reason I say that, because they talk about intimacy, they don't talk about intimacy with women. They are, in a polygynous, high five competition among themselves to see who can obtain the most wives. Okay. On how to disappoint more than one woman at a time. And it's all circles around men. You got people out there in the audience that they're fawning and, standing up in approval, but you're our hero. Yes, you are. You're our hero. And it seems like everything that they do is so that they can seek and find the approval of other men. Women are just an object or an icon that's kind of like back on a shelf somewhere, because they got to be silent in the churches, and, it's a shame for them to speak and all that stuff. The only thing that's fine in the tabernacle, I guess. But when you make it a matter of policy that, their approval means shit to you, then you go right back to the homosocial acceptance of other men. And I'm not going to say it's homosexual, because I don't think the orientation that is that way. I used to think that because of the over influence upon, men, approving of men looking to men as their for approval, and as constant ranking of one another. That goes on all the time too. Constant ranking of one another on who's the stud of the week, the stud of the month, the alpha male. Alpha. Really? Are you serious? You're gonna drag that back. That whole construct was Roman society, where men would go out and almost to the level of pedastry, and they would go recruit young men and they would flaunt them around in their society as a means of gaining self-approval and to be able to rank themselves or to be admired, and everything was all by other men. It wasn't about the women, it was about the men. Straitway calls that patriarchy. You gotta be kidding me. All they're doing is literally, pardon the pun, since we're not talking about homosexuality, is tossing each other's salad at every feast, every Sabbath service, with him going like this with his hanky and dusting himself off. I'm a high value man. Like Kevin Samuels. You should be careful you don't have a high value heart attack. Like Kevin Samuels. Okay? That's funny. There's one, the thing of it is that when your self-identity, it can only be validated by other men and not the women you say you're centric on, then something's pretty screwed up. Because, like I said, in theory, it's all about the women. But in practice, we damn well know it's always about the men, and you know it too. Have a good day. Shalom.